Welcome back, everyone, to another episode or podcast for Warriors for Christ. We're your hosts, Damien and Olin. And this evening, we got a good friend of ours, Michael Sumler, who we have known for some years now. He's just a brothers of ours in the Lord. We wouldn't have anybody else on if we didn't have him. So, as you can see from the title, we're gonna be talking about success and sacrifices. We talked about success multiple times. Oh, but before I get into it, Olin, you want to say hey? Mike, you want to say hey? Anything like that before we dive into?
What's going on, good people? It's a pleasure to be here with my guys.
Good stuff. So yeah, so we have talked about success on here multiple times. We had our guest Anticious on board, who started his own business, Got Fish. He gave his opinion on what he thinks success is. Of course, we dive very on Olin, who started up his business. He talked about, I believe, on an episode about how he started his business up. So today we're going to throw some various questions at our friend Mike here and get his opinion about what he thinks success is and the sacrifices he made to reach success. And of course, we're going to give our stories as well, Olin and I, as time goes or as we see fit. So, Mike, um, your life was filled with many hurdles. Like that's putting it lightly. And then, but yet on top of that, you're here today. You're smiling. You're happy where you're at in life, and that's the reason why we had you on this podcast, just to talk about success, being goal oriented, what it takes to get there, and what it means to actually arrive. So to start with, Mike, what is your definition of success?
So, my definition of success is whatever a person sets out to accomplish for their personal lives, they're successful. Meaning, if you choose to be a trash man, that is your goal in life, and you achieve that goal, you're successful. Successful to me isn't measured by money. It isn't measured by the wealth or materialistic things. It's measured by your internal clock of what you believe is for you that you want out of life and how you manage it. So if you know you can survive life and do the things you want to do by whichever path you choose, meaning take care of your family, things of that nature, be able to give your children what they want and what they need and be a provider, then I believe you're successful. Success is, let's say, a woman who decides she wants to be a mother and end up being a mother and be great at being a mother. She is fulfilling what she desires. She is successful. Success is the person who says, I want to be a school teacher and be a great school teacher, and they fulfill that dream. That is success to them. It's not, oh, I have to have millions of dollars to be successful. Now, if that was you choose to do and you work hard to attain that, then you also are successful in that right. So it's many forms of success, but you have to define for yourself what that means to you. So that's what I believe success is. It's what a person desires in their heart to do and become, and they achieve it. To me, that is them being successful. Sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Olin, would you like to add anything to that? You want to give your opinion on it, your version?
I got more so of a question, and this could be for Mike or for Damien. Is that I agree. I agree a lot with what Mike said, and then as I'm thinking, also I'm thinking like, yeah, but is there a way, or it sounds like it's possible that you can be successful, classify yourself as successful in one area, but then maybe not so much in others? Is that possible as well?
I mean, that's possible as well. Like, but it all depends on what you mean by other areas of success. You know what I'm saying? Is it financial success you see like on the other end? Like, what's define what you mean by that?
So you could be successful in family, maybe not so successful in career wise. You could be successful or vice versa, or financial, or maybe not so much in familial, family wise. But I understand what you mean as far as it depends on what you're yourself out to do and what goals that you have set. But even then, as you reach certain goals, you might have other goals to attain after that. And so then how do you classify yourself as, okay, I was successful in the first set of goals. Now I got these other set of goals to accomplish too. You know what I mean? So, I feel as though basically I want to say that it can change, because my success, when we first had this conversation about a year ago, my view of it has changed since then. And my output has changed since then. And that I feel as though it's constantly changing too. And I feel as though, okay, I might not say I've grown so much successful in one area, but I have definitely grown in success in another area. And so, how that I incorporate that, or what do I deem more important than the other, and stuff like that.
That is a great point of what you just said about your success. Your view of success has changed since you first had this conversation a year ago, and that is the process of being success. That is what success does. Your view of it changes the more you accomplish. You're not going to sit here and see the same goals and things that you once accomplished as successful anymore. Why? Because you have already accomplished those goals. So your journey to success is constantly adding on. You're going to add goals on to your list. You're also going to cross goals off that you thought was important before. As your mind changes and as you develop in this process, things that you thought were important when you first started out becomes no longer important. So your judgment level, depending on how you start out, but you have to start somewhere. So the thing that I did was I wrote goals down, and I read them every day. I pursued them. And as I begin to grow and start to obtain certain levels of success and meet certain levels of goals, I say, okay, let me cross this out. That was a foolish goal. But it was something to draw me towards my achievements at the time. So it was like, okay, I was just writing anything down. Like, I want to go here. I want to do this. I want to do that. So, over time, as you read over and as you accomplish, you find out what isn't important to you anymore and what still is of value to you. So if you're achieving the success in one area, like you said, as of, your company or your achievements as in your career, but over here you're lacking in family, then that's when you add it to the list. And that's when you start to work on that as well. So you're constantly adding and subtracting in the process of reaching success. And that's where the sacrifices come in at, is because there's always going to be something that you're going to have to sacrifice in order to obtain success, whether it be family time, whether it be date night, whether it be TV, whether it be this, but you also have to find a way to redeem the time. So that's the thing that you have to also, okay, I know I can't do this every day, but if you look at certain, and then also the other thing is family have to be understanding of the vision that you have for y'all.
All right, I have something I have to be said before you move into something else. Like, I definitely agree with the sacrifices, but on the way I view it, I would never say your family should understand your success. To me, you should always work your success around your family.
What I said, let me rephrase. No, what I said is that your family has to understand the vision that you have for your family. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay, all right.
As far as being supportive, and okay, I know he's working on this right now. I know he can't spend time with us right now, because he's trying to take us to the next level.
Take-
But you also have to find a way to redeem that time, is also what I was saying.
Yeah.
Like, okay,
Yeah, so yeah, and that's the part I was saying. Is that my view of family, like even with that, even if you want to, like I said, of course we all have you have opinion on it, and that's why we do this.
Mhm.
Is that you to me, when you do success, when you view success, I think you should work in a way, find a way to work it around your family. You don't work your family structure. So if you're trying to work for something, you find time outside your family to get it done, because sacrificing that time with your family, even though if you try to redeem it, that moment has passed. And then that moment that had passed can affect them. So to me, I think you should, this just once again, this is my opinion. Everybody's different. You should never sacrifice your family for a goal. Because once again, like I said, sacrifice means killing something. So you should never do that with family. You work outside your family. Like for me, for instance, I love writing. And for me to get better at writing, I had a family, I had a day job. So I had to find outside the time when to do that. And when did I find that time? While they were sleeping. So I sacrificed my time of sleep to get better at my craft. So while they're sleeping, they still get what they want. Like I said, a 3-year-old ain't gonna understand that this is daddy time to do something. Go ahead. Oh.
And that's exactly what I understand. That's exactly what I'm saying by redeeming the time. You're finding a way to still not give up on your goals, but also still take care of your family. So that's borderline what I'm saying. Because of course I'm not saying, sacrifice your family completely, but there are times though, Damien, and you notice that you're going to have to make a decision whereas though do I do this or do I have to do this? You know what I'm saying? And it's not like, but some, it all depends on what the person is trying to achieve. Because let's say you're going to school, right? You're going to better yourself for college. You're going to have that study time. Yeah. And everybody don't have the discipline or the time to say, hey, I got to get up at night and do this. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And to me, that's where I think the person needs to work it at. Because like I said, you think about 4 years of college, you find that time, you're using that for time. That's 4 years. It no matter how much time you try to redeem, you're never gonna get that time back. You're never gonna get that moment back. So as a person, like I said, you find time outside your child and your wife to make that happen. Because there are plenty of stories where people say, I'm gonna do this real fast, and then you see later down the road it causes issue. Go ahead. Oh, sorry. I know you wanted to say something. Go.
So y'all both making good points, and what it is that you need both. You need the understanding that both of you guys need to have a plan. All right, this is the goal. This is how we're going to meet the goal. And then on the outside, okay, this is where we got to work together with. If we're both meeting the goal, then we understand that some sacrifice is going to need to be made, but we still need to have that time together. And I definitely hear what you're saying, Damien, but honestly, it starts with both parties having the same vision. Because if you're having the same vision, then it's not really a sacrifice. It's working together towards the vision.
Yes. I understand while you're talking. I just want to throw this in, and you can add this into. I'm not talking about the wife. The wife can understand. What if you have a 2-year-old who doesn't understand what you're doing?
Well, then he's not missing out because he don't understand.
He is missing out.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Go ahead. I want to see what you got to say about that.
Because in the sense of that is going to be a thing. But like I said, my wife and I, the way we communicate is she lets me know, listen, you need to spend more time. I understand what you're doing. I understand why you're doing it, but this is starting to lack. He's starting to feel this way. Might starting to look this way. She sees things in that sort of frame that I'm not going to see. We have the kind of communication that she can come to me, let me know. Therefore, I am better informed in how to move forward in that area. No, like, all right, cool. I need to pick up on that area.
Yeah, so it's definitely going to be a lot of adjustments. You know what I'm saying? As far as figuring out how to operate with your family when you're pursuing success, whatever that is to you. But it's finding, like, or I believe what Ola's saying is finding that balance and at a level of communication of and understanding. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, you know, daddy loves you, but he has to do this right now in order to get us to the next level. You know what I'm saying? And of course, the child not going to understand at first, but the thing, what I believe is that over time, if you do it the right way, as they get older, they'll begin to see, oh, my father's a hardworking father. I appreciate that in him. You know what I'm saying? So I believe the balance comes from, you know, the grace and mercy of God as well, of allowing your child to come to an understanding, and that also builds a desire in them to be successful when they see the head of the household go off their dreams. And sometimes it also could be a curse if you're constantly ignoring them of, you know, I have to do this. Yes, you have to break down sometimes and say, listen, I'm going to put work aside today and we're going to go spend a whole day at a baseball game when my body sticks to, you know, football or basketball, or we're going to go get ice cream, movies, and dessert, or whatever the case may be. You have to absolutely do that as far as, like, you know what I mean, when it comes to children. Because like you said, they don't understand in the beginning of, they don't understand work in the beginning. You know what I'm saying? They just understand that I'm hungry. Can I get something to eat? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and like I said, and that's my thing is, you know, like me, when anything involved with children, I mean, I look at scripture. Like I said, you know, we don't start preaching here, but I always look at scriptures and get an example from there. You know, like you said, you know, they get older. Yes, they get older, but that's a slight chance. That's like a 50-50 chance that child going to view it that way. Because I know people who their parents are successful. They work hard, but they, you know, first thing they say, they worked all the time. They did that to success. So they don't see that their parent worked hard to give them what they want. They work hard that my father didn't spend time with me. A child at 3-year-old is not going to remember, oh, he worked hard for that. They gonna remember was mommy or daddy rolling around on the floor with me. That's the moment that to me I see the most. And I never see scripture wise where the Lord switches up his time to do something he want versus quality time. His goal is always quality time, one-on-one. Go ahead.
But we also can't ignore that there's the other side too. Yes, your side. Yes, there is a point to your side, but there is another side too, where normally you'll see in a single parent home where, well, my mama had to work 2 jobs to better support us. So it's the same aspect, and it could work, and it could go either or. You never know which one it could go. They could be the ones that, you know, feel like they felt rejected, but you can also be the ones that understood and saw what their parents was really succeeded. But they still understand you got to have, there has to be a balance. You just can't forego one just because you're trying to attain something else. That's not okay in no sense. There has to be some kind of balance.
Right, I agree with that, man. That's where you talk to your kids, you communicate with your kids. That's also a communication thing too, whereas though you talk to your child and you know spend that time with them wherever you are. Have those moments. Okay, I'm gonna call when my lunch break. You know what I mean? Have interact. That's interaction and communication to make them feel like they're not rejected or lonely. That's part of the incorporating the balance is, let me have a relationship with my child, even though I'm working hard doing what I'm doing. When I get my lunch break, I'm gonna call them. Like for example, okay, before I got my plumbing license, I was working, you know, 2 jobs. You know what I mean? I had to sacrifice and work 2 jobs. You know what I mean? I was working during the day, and then I was working Domino's at night. So when I would be at Domino's, I would call my son, "Hey, what's up, buddy? What's going on?" While I'm on routes, so that he wouldn't feel like, "Oh, daddy just never here," or he doesn't ever talk to me, or, "Hey, what's up, buddy? You want some food?" This, that, and the third. Or then I made it my point to take off every Tuesday. And when I would pick him up from school, we would go bowling. You know what I'm saying? We would go bowling, go to the movies, go do this, that, and the third. But the rest of the week, I'm working. But in between my work, I would make sure that I would call him and check up on him and ask him how he doing. If he want anything, let him know like I'm working hard. I'm gonna bring some pizza home. You know what I mean? It's the level of communication that you have and interaction that you have, and you have to make that time as well. So in the end, like I said, it pays off because now I can spend as much time as I want to with him if I want to. Like, hey, I go to one job now. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to do 2 jobs anymore. So now, what do you want to do? You know what I'm saying? So that's what I mean by redeeming that time. For some, at certain points in time, you're going to have to do what you have to do, and there are going to be feelings involved. But there is seasons where you have to do what you just have to do, and then, like I said, yes, it's a sacrifice, but that's life. You know what I'm saying? That's life. That happens in life. Where there's going to be, you're going to miss something. There's no way you're going to be available for every single thing. You know what I'm saying? It's impossible.
Yeah.
Unless you do nothing but completely stay home. You know what I'm saying?
So, and like I say, that's what I say. Like, is it to me? I see it different as being you missing time versus something that's like, say, success. Like, I'm doing this because I want success. Like, yeah, you're gonna miss time here, you're gonna miss time there. But when you, to me, my goal is say, okay, I want to do this because I want to choose this. I'm gonna push this time aside with my kid or my family. In my view, that's complete opposite of Scripture. That, like I said, they're just me, because the Scripture, there's not one episode where the family is pushed aside for something. The family always comes first. Yeah, the man got to go out. The man, well, I'm not gonna say man. Parents go out. Parents got to work. But you revolve that around your family. Like most people now in America, typically, while the kids in school, parents work. That's how it typically works. And that's why I said when I was working, the way I did it, I worked, and Tiffany worked. But when I came home, while they would sleep, even though I went to work that day, while they would sleep, I got up, and that's how I sacrificed. I didn't sacrifice their time. I never did it. And that's why I say, as I think, to keep your family household in structure, because like you can do it for a month, but in 1 month it can get really bad. So I think is I'll give the advice that you should do your best to find a route that doesn't equate cutting time away from your family. I didn't mean to take a conversation there, but like that just like pulled at me. I was just like, oh, you just don't do that. And I know we here in America, it says that. That's one thing we kind of grew up with, but it's no example of that biblically seen. And that's the reason why I stand by a firm, and that we got to find a way around that. And that's, to me, that's where the sacrifice come in. Man, I got to do something where they're not doing. It's like, okay, well, I need this time. You know what? Let me put them in karate class or soccer class. And while they're doing that, then I'm going to do my thing. That's how I think. But I definitely hear you. And like I said, I'm not trying to force that. I'm just trying to really get what you're saying.
But that's a sacrifice in itself, though, Damien, what you just said. Let me put them in karate class so I can get that time to do what I need to do.
Yeah.
That's a sacrifice right there, because that's time not spent. You understand what I'm saying? So, but you're replacing it with an activity, which is fine, because now they get to be around, you know what I mean, other kids and things of that nature. Yeah. That's you finding time. That's you finding a way to sacrifice and get that time that you need to be what you need to be. That's all I'm saying about, you know what I mean, when it comes to sacrificing. Yes, okay, yeah, let me put him in sports so he can have the comfort of being around other people his age, or this, that, and the third. And basically, like Olin brought up not too long ago, the single mother that worked 2 jobs. That's what a lot of single mothers do, so that they won't feel missed and they still feel that love, is that they would rec centers, you know what I'm saying? After school programs, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that they can still be around, you know what I mean, some form of affection and love and type of, you know what I mean, interaction. And then they do their thing.
Let's also not forget that somebody made a comment about how you could have the time, available time, but you still don't spend it with them. I'll even take it a bit farther, but you can spend time with them, but is it really effective, or is it real, or is it real communicative time? You know what I mean? Or is it real effective time? Is it really, or are you just there with them? Is the time you do spend with them, is it really effective? So I mean, we can go into different formats on to whether or not how to spend the time, but then we can also look at the time as far as, is it really effective time? Is it time that later on is going to be basically replaced with memories? Because when we leave this earth, that's all we really leaving with them is memories. Outside of the money, outside of the things and everything like that, with things that they can't be taken away with them, there's something that's always going to stay with them, are memories. And what memories are we leaving with them? What bank of memories are we leaving with the people that we care about or that we love?
Exactly. Being that we kind of talk about that, I guess we can let's dive straight into the sacrifice, because it kind of segue into that anyway. Mike, with reaching the things that you wanted to do, what are some of the sacrifices that you had to go through to reach that? So that way, if anybody's watching, they can be like, man, if he or she, well, I guess there's no she on the panel today. If someone's going through that, if they can do that, my situation is similar to that, where they be able to aid them. So let us know about your sacrifices to reach where you're at. Matter of fact, tell people where you're at in life, and then maybe they'll better understand your sacrifices.
Okay, first of all, so I am a commercial plumber. Just got my journeyman license about back in May 14th to be exact.
What's journeyman license? So that way, because I'm
journeyman plumber license. I mean, I'm a licensed commercial plumber. I'm a licensed plumber, but in order to reach that goal, it was a journey. It was an up and down journey of different, adversities in my life that I had to overcome and had to stick to the path that I knew that I wanted to go. So let's backtrack to how did I get here? So I'll go back to when I first got back into plumbing, and about 8 years ago. And what's crazy is, like, not too long ago, it resurfaced on my Facebook story when I was on the job and I first bought all my tools, and I said my caption was investing in my future. I completely forgot about this Facebook memory, and 8 years later, as soon as I get the new job and get my raise and everything like that, it pops back up and I think that was a reminder to me. So the sacrifice I had to make. So I wasn't always like, oh, I'm gonna get my plumbing license, number one. It was just like, I want to get back into plumbing. I want to have a job. I know plumbers make money. That's what I did before. I'm trying to get back into it, type of deal. So wasn't really interested in, being where I am now at the beginning. Never thought I would be here where I am now, actually, until I decided to deliberately, purposely believe I could be here. Meaning, one of the most sacrifices that I had to make was my old mentality and fear of achieving things or trying things, because I always had this fear that held me back of I'm not as good, or I'm not as smart, or I'm not, as intelligent as everybody else or my peers. And, or the next man on the job, he just can do it better than me. But I always had the talent with my hands, and I always did good, and I always got, compliments. But the mentality was the thing that was like, oh yeah, you're a good worker, but you're not smart enough. So one day, as I was sitting there laying down, and I said, you know what? Why not me? Why not me? Why can't I go get my license? Why can't I? So the main sacrifice is the mentality of I can't. Once you get in the fear of trying, so you have to get in a place where you can put those things off. So I started reading some books, started listening to some Audible books and some motivational books and things of nature to get my mindset subconsciously out of not believing in myself. And the way that I did it is I had to get uncomfortable. So I said, you know what? I don't do well in the house listening to books or study. Let me find a different environment where as though I can relax myself and thrive. So the first journey I made was like, I'm gonna go to the gym. I had this gym membership for a long time. When you're working out, it releases chemicals in your body that helps you relax and you motivation and gives you energy. So I'm like, okay, while I'm working out, I'm gonna listen. Instead of listening to music, I'm gonna listen to these audible books. And so now I got two things working at the same time. I got my chemicals being released in my body, endorphins, and then I also got good information going inside as well. You understand what I'm saying? So that's a win-win. Did that for about probably like a month. And the next thing I know, internally, I began to feel better about myself. Then I came across, write down your goals. Write your goals down. Read them down every day. So then I said, you know what? And I started writing down my goals. First, I didn't know, you know what I mean? Like I said, but then once I achieved the first thing that I wrote down, which was like, I'm gonna get my plumbing license, right? And the journey to that is that when I first went and took the test, I failed. I knew I was going to fail the first time, but I wanted to see what kind of questions I was going to be facing in order for me to study the way that I needed to study, because I didn't go to school. I got my code books and I studied out of myself. I didn't go for the plumbing part. For the plumbing code book, I didn't go to school. Now for the gas side, took some classes. So with that, I studied my code book. I took the test. The plumbing I did very well on. It was the gas part that I had trouble with. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna take some gas classes. Then part of the sacrifice in that was that I had just cleaned my credit up. Oh man, I gotta what can I do to get these gas classes? And you know, that's part of the sacrifice. I said I gotta sacrifice my credit again, get these cars. And it's not I had to look at it as an investment instead of a debt. So I knew where I was going at, and I knew I was going to have to make a decision. So I said, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and do it. Got the credit cards, took the classes, boom. I go back a second time to take my test with all confidence. I'm going to smoke this joint. Fail. And then I came out of that class, sat in the car, and I had all this overwhelming feelings of depression, of anger, I told you I wasn't smart enough. But then in that moment, I made a choice. I said, no, I don't believe that. I said, Lord, I don't care what I just went through. I'm not giving up on myself. I'm going to go back to the drawing board and I'm going to pass this test. So right there, but I didn't let, the key is to not let those feelings take precedence over you for more than 20, 30 seconds. Don't let it set in. You have to reverse that process. So once I reversed that process, I pulled off, went home, got my books, said, okay, what do I have to do? I said, you know what, let me call my teacher. I called my teacher. I just got I said, hey man, I failed the test. Man, what, any more tips you can give me to stay in there? He said, well, you can call this the second chief inspector at WSSC, and I'll give you his number. I'm well connected with him. Maybe you could call him, and maybe he can give you some point. Now doors are opening up. See, the door right there open up. I called him. Hey, how you doing? He said, hey, yeah, I'm Michael Sumner. Such and such gave me a number, told me to call about your test. He said, oh, well, let's go ahead. So what you got? What you having a problem? I said, well, on the gas side. He said, well, you can call the exam board, and then they'll give you a review, and you can read over the questions to see what you got, because sometimes in those questions, it's the terminology that trips you up more than you not having known the information, because I knew the information, is just the way that they worded it. So now I have a tip. So this is another door open up. I call the exam board. Hey, can I schedule a review? So now I schedule my review. They're like, oh yeah, you can come in on this day and you can review. I go in, I'm thinking I'm going to review the test that I just passed, because they give you 3 different separate tests. So now I go back to the review and I get to review both of my tests from the previous times. So now I got a plethora of question and answers, and it was all just like I missed it by just one little slight change in the terminology that what we use in the field. Then I say, okay, bam, that's what it is. Oh, light bulb. Go back home, just wrote some stuff down. And this time I didn't even study as much because I just knew. I just knew at this point. It wasn't even a doubt. I was like, oh, I know it now. Third time I went there, I just sit back, relax, and just breeze through it. And when I hit it, it said pass. I said, yes. I mean, I was like, but I already knew internally because I was preparing myself for something greater. But the tests and trials come when you fail. And this is what I learned from failure. Failure isn't failure if you keep trying. Failure is failure when you stop trying and you lay down. And you allow failure to also teach you, because I had two teachable moments in that failure, in that second failure. I had my teacher connected me to a well-connected chief inspector at WSSC. And then I got his number. I can call him anytime. So sometimes your failure opens up doors, but it's all about how you perceive them and how you take them. Do you take them harshly and you give up on yourself? Or do you say, what can I do better the next time? So, and I had to say, you know what? I can't have this mentality of failure forever. Let me go ahead and get out of this mentality and start doing what I hear these successful people do. Write their goals down, read over it every day, take time to think about what they got on paper, to revise it, to change it. It goes back to what Olin was saying earlier. Sometimes, you're not gonna have the same mentality as this conversation that we're having now next year. It's gonna be a different level of success that we all have achieved. So now the conversation changes. It's what the success means to you now that you have reached this new level of success. It's going to be other tips and tricks and skills that we have now learned along this journey that is going to pull us to the next phase of success. So, like they say, it's levels. The higher you go, the more you learn, but you also have to be willing to stay humble on purpose. Because the moments you don't treat people like you've been through something, you can fall at any time. So now, as I go on this journey, I always smile at people, teach people if they want to learn, give them a helping hand, because I know where I started from. And I know how hard it is to get out of a disgusting mentality of unbelief. And that is a disgusting mentality. And you can have all the talents in the world and everybody can see it. But if you don't believe in yourself first, then you'll never reach it. Like, you can believe for me all day long, Damien. You can see it for me all day long, Olin. But if I don't see it for myself, then it's nothing y'all can do for me. You understand what I'm saying? If that makes sense. So part of the sacrifice is that you have to be willing to let go of some of your old traditional ways of thinking and some of your habits. You have to sacrifice your old habits to create new habits. Like, I started going to bookstores because, like they say, you hang around a barbershop, you're gonna get a haircut. Go to a bookstore, you're gonna eventually read something. You know what I'm saying? So I put myself in different environments to encourage what I wanted to become. Because if I can't sit in the house and study, then where can I go at that I feel comfortable at, that I can study? How can I get inspired to read? How can I get inspired to study? I started taking Mikey to comic book stores here and there. You know what I'm saying? Let's go read a comic book. You know what I mean? And I started asking him, hey, you're going to read some books. First thing he pulled out was a comic book that I brought that he didn't read. Now you're reading it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So what is it that you have to do to get yourself into a new way of thinking is part of the sacrifice. Getting out of your comfort zone is part of the sacrifice. A lot of people like, oh man, when I get home, you could be at somewhere like, when I get home, man, I'm gonna read this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. But your habit is that when you get home, you always turn the TV on. So subconsciously, you're gonna do exactly what you have trained yourself to do, so without even thinking about it, because that's a habit. unless you reverse that habit and force yourself to say, hey, no, I'm not turning TV on. Let me go for a walk. But it has to be a process. And it's like this. It's a simple process, but it's also a hard process. Meaning this. The old saying is, an apple a day keep the doctors away, right? If it's that simple to eat, to be healthy, how come we don't do it? You know what I'm saying? That's a simple thing, eating an apple a day. It's simple, but it's hard at the same time. So it's also like, so back to what I'm saying, it's the mentality thing that you have to begin to sacrifice. And then, like, I don't watch much TV anymore these days. Like, I started turning that off, and I was like, I said, man, I got to start training myself to think differently, because if I'm always watching TV, that's eating a whole lot of time up. And you know how I used to love my movies. I'll sit down there and watch TV all day long. Now I just like, no, let me go listen to a book. Let me go do this. Let me go do that. Let me write down. Let me be creative. And the journey is that you're going to end up being more creative. Your thought process is going to expand. It's naturally going to happen. You don't have to think about how things are going to happen. That's another thing that we have to get out of out here is, how is this going to be accomplished? So once I got rid of the how, stopped wondering how, and just started doing, is when more and more starts to open up, because now I'm going by faith. And I'm not going by, oh, how am I going to strategically do this? No, don't worry about that. Set your goals, write your goals down, start reading your goals every day. And those goals will be like a magnet, and they will begin to draw you to the resources that you need. It's that strong, it's that powerful, and it's that simple. It's that simple. If you can get your mind off of the HOW and that question mark, the possibilities become endless. And think about it, Olin. You picked me up from when I got my DUI. That was 2 years ago. My life has changed vastly in those 2 years by me just deciding to do better. Now, I ain't gonna talk how much I'm making. I'm making a whole lot of money now. A whole lot of money. A whole lot of money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that was a moment in time where I also had to make a decision to say, am I going to continue down this path? You know what I mean? Or am I going to change my mindset on things? And then once I've done that, now that I don't hang in the same places and areas no more, I'm beginning to meet other successful people who give me tips and tricks. And now that I've switched job, I done entered into a whole nother atmosphere of people who know how to do things better. Hey man, this is how you do this, this is how you do that, this is how you do this, or this is some financial advice. Like it's just happening. I wrote it down, but to see it come to fruition, it creates a whole nother level of confidence in you, which is a good thing. Because now it's like, okay, I can achieve, and you really start to understand that you can. That's the thing right there. Once you start to understand you can, then you desire more.
Yeah. There were two things that you said that I like. I want to point out, but also because I want to ask O the same question. Was when you said something about not watching TV. People always ask me, because I used to we play ball all the time. People always ask me why I never watch sports, because I was like, there's so many games that come on, and you looking at 4 hours a game, 3 hours a game, every other day or every day. I was like, they reached their goal. Like, they're making so much money already by me just watching them. I need to do the same thing. And I can't do that if I'm watching you or if I'm watching them. So I just like to point out about like how much people watch TV. And that's why I made the decision in college. Like, I was trying to do good. I was like, the whole team, we come home from playing basketball, have a game practice. They come home and literally watch it after this planet. And I was like, man, I got to do something more with my life than just consume basketball all the time. So I like that point about turning TV off. Yeah, that's a big factor. And then I like you talking about how success, by not giving up, you learn from your success. It's not a failure if you learn from it. And then, there's a famous quote, whether it's true or not, where it talks about how Thomas Edison was like, he didn't fail making 1,000 light bulbs. He was 1,000. He found 1,000 ways not how to make a light bulb. Whether it's true or not, that's a famous saying that people always contribute to him. But yeah, so there was some good points. So now I want to ask the same thing. If you got time, well, we do have time. What were some sacrifices that you made that you would like to talk about for anybody that may, encourage them in this thing that we call life?
I'm gonna try to make it quick because I'm about to go into an area with bad reception. But most of the time, the majority, I had to sacrifice my safety net. I had to step out of faith. I'm used to gaining this much, and I'm used to, and this is what I'm getting before I went out on my own. This is what I'm used to getting, and that's for sure. No matter what, that's a for sure. Where I can't for sure say this is what I'm going to get, nor this is what I'm going to get consistently. But I had to step out in faith in saying that January through December, I am trusting that God is going to make a way that my business is going to be enough to sustain us. That was the biggest sacrifice that I had to make. And not saying that all the times it was great, not all the times it was there, but I still had to have that faith that no matter what, He's going to see me through.
Yeah, that's a common factor that both of you guys pointed out was, as Mike put it, is not worry about the how. You just do it. You just go at it. I always tell people, yes, that may be a chance where, you may not have the money for something, but there's still opportunities to still learn about what you want to learn about when not necessarily having the money. You can worry about the money when that point get around, but you can teach yourself, you can learn about something. There's different avenues to achieve the same thing, and money is not always the reason. Yes, it is a common hindrance for a lot of us, but that one hurdle shouldn't stop you from still pursuing what you want. It's like, I can't, I want to learn about photography. I don't have the money to take photography classes. Like you said, you ask people, you try to find doors, you network. So different ways of doing it and not worry about the how. You just go at it constantly. So they're all good stuff, guys. I agree with all that you said about sacrifice. For me, it was just literally just finding time and just doing it, like pretty much teaching myself like how to do something without necessarily having the money to take classes in school. But there's a lot of free stuff, information that is out in the world now. But for everything that you want, there's something free where you can teach yourself to learn about. Like you said, Mike, get a book, all that. Putting yourself in the environment. Like for me, I never wrote a book before, but I decided I wanted to do it. and I tried my hand at it. And my first attempts wasn't great. There's plenty of books that I completely rewrote. There were things people just said chapters were bad, had to rewrite the whole chapter. But during that whole process, I read books, watched videos. To this day, I still watch videos. And even though I was successful at writing a book because I wrote it, that took me on then to another venture, which was screenplay writing. That's something I never thought I would do. But now I'm in a group with screenplay writers, and to them, like, they're like, man, I can't believe how much you improved in, the last 2 years where people go to school for this, and still don't get it. But the whole idea was just like, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to worry about how I'm going to learn about it, or if I can afford it, I can teach myself it. Like I said, there's plenty of resources out there. And as Mike said, when you write that stuff down and you go at it, you're going to find yourself that those things just kind of fall on your lap. The opportunity will open, a person will open up, a door will open up, you'll receive new information, and stuff will just come your way. But when it comes your way, you got to be wise enough, like, oh, this is that opportunity, this is that resource. Now I need to step in it. Now, Mike, you told me how the story, like how you didn't have the money for some of your classes. You doing it for the classes. You start taking the class, you like, man, I'm gonna keep going until the money comes. You want to tell that story real fast?
Yeah. So funny story. Oh, right. Like, so when I took the gas classes, right, I called one of my coworkers, like I said, like Damon just said, stuff coming to the lab. I was just telling him, man, I want to take some gas classes. I'm trying to find some class. He said, oh, well, you know, the teacher, he at the school, Mr. Durrell, he do the classes just at the third. I said, oh, okay, cool. And she said, man, can I get his number? He's like, yeah. So he gave his number. So, 2 days ago, I called him and I'm like, hey, this Michael Summer, what I mean? Kevin Brick gave me your number, and I was wondering about when you start your gas classes. So this was like what? January, February, March. It was like March, like the third week of March or the second week of March. And he was like, yeah, I actually got classes starting in May the 4th on a Saturday. Like it's gonna be 4 Saturdays, and it's gonna be this amount of money. I said, ooh, boy, I ain't got it. But I'm like, but internally, I knew for some reason it was the right time. So I said, man, do you take any kind of like, payment plans or anything like that? So he was like, I'll give you the number to my director, you know what I mean? She's familiar with your company. And actually, John, which was one of my bosses, he came through here and they're very familiar with your company. So maybe they'll work something out with you and stuff like that. I said, okay, cool. So he gave me the number, so I called her, and she was like, yeah, what we can do is, we'll work with you. What we can do is you just have to put $100 deposit down today or whenever you want to start. And then, you know what I mean? After that, when you come to school, you can take care of the rest. I said, okay, cool. So back to what Ola said, this is walking by faith. So I say, okay, cool. I got the $100, right? Now, in my head, I said, ain't no way I'm going to have this money, you know what I mean, come the class. But I said, I got the $100, I'll put it down. Cool. So I'm like, bet. I start May the 4th. So I said, I'm like, okay, all right, I ain't gonna have the money. So that's when I said, you know what, I'm gonna go apply for these credit cards. So apply for the credit cards, they take weeks to come, you know what I mean? So here it is. I'm in class the first Saturday. I'm like, this lady gonna come in here and ask for the class. I'm gonna be so embarrassed. I ain't got it. Whole class go by, nobody said nothing. Said, bet. So now I got a whole nother week. I'm waiting, right, for these cards. Man, where y'all at, man? Come on, man. I gotta pay these people this Saturday, man. So that next Saturday come, I go to class. I'm like, I know they're gonna come in, but I'm like, I'm gonna keep on, class. I'm just gonna say, hey, listen, can I get an extension? You come in. I'm just like, I don't know how it's gonna go. I don't know, like, oh no, I don't know. They would be like, man, pack your stuff and go. But I'm in here. I got 2 more to go. So the third week come. They finally come in the mail. I could have more activated that Saturday. I'm sitting there. I'm like, she gonna come in the last class. Nope, she came into that class. It was like, hey, we gotta take care of your payment. But yet the money showed up, and I was like, okay, here you go. You can put it on these cards right here. And she's like, okay, cool, got it. But that's an example of that literally happened though. This is a true story. Like, I'm not exaggerating it. I'm not lying about it. This is a true story. It exactly happened like I said it. And like I said, Damien, like you said, it's the resources will come. It's just what do you do? And like, it was crazy because I say, man, I'm gonna clean my credit up. Like last year when I was working at Diamond, I said, man, I'm gonna use some of this money, take care. And that decision right there, like, allowed me to have the opportunity to go to the next phase. Like I said, each step was an investment. And like I said, another thing was working at Domino's. Like, that was a sacrifice. Like, I was like, man, I need money. I work at Domino's. That funded my books for me to buy my books. Like, everything just led up to something different as I kept writing. I said, and like you said, the resources, like sometimes you might have to go do a job that you might not particularly like in order to get that extra money. Like, I never thought I would be working at Domino's at 42 years old. You know what I'm saying? Doing the best at delivery job. But then I end up enjoying it. And I said, I never in my life thought I would like fast food restaurants. You know what I'm saying? Like, in my life. but I had a good time there. I was dealing, I'm making tips, you know what I mean? I was learning how to make the pizzas, all the different stuff. So it started to inspire me. Like it's so much stuff that in each journey that I take something from now, and I'll never look down on fast food ever again in my life because it's so much more respect that they do that they don't get. You know what I'm saying? That's very fast paced, very hard, man. When the people coming in there on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and football season game night, man, they got to be popping them joints up in there.
Yeah.
So people don't understand that, but I was delivery driver, but I was just learning how to do stuff. But I was like, you know, whatever it took for me to get where I am now, and to be sitting here enjoying the fruit of my labor and the joy that success brings to you is very eye-opening. And the manifestation of seeing what you wrote on paper come to life is a beautiful feeling. And you'll never go back to how you felt before. Once you start to see what you wrote down on paper manifest and come to life, it's impossible for you to go back to the old mentality. Like it's almost impossible because you're going to want to see how much farther you can stretch yourself. What else is in me that I can do that I didn't know I could do? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And it goes back to what you said. Like you started your books. First couple, you had chapters that was horrible. People let you know the creative construction. You didn't get down. You found another avenue. How can I get better? That has to be the mentality that brings you to success. When somebody tell you that you're not good at one area, don't say, "Oh, I can't ever do it." No, you refine your skill. You find out how to refine that skill, and that process will continue to pull you through. Okay, I got to go read more words. I got to go find out more words. Got to go learn how to use the the commas and stuff like that properly. Like you do what you need to do, and then now you're sitting amongst screenwriters, like all from you deciding to do it, and it wasn't turn out so great the first time, but you believe that you had it in you. That's what you gotta let not get rocked at your core. Is that if you believe that you got it in you, no matter the obstacles, no matter the adversities you're going to face, you're going to continue to go for what you believe is in you and what is for you. And then once the universe or the world sees how serious you are about your goals, nothing can stop a man when he's serious about his goals. I don't care what adversity he had. When a man is 100% serious about his goals, adversity cannot stop that man.
Not at all.
I don't care what it is, unless it is death itself that takes you out of this earth. If you have a goal that you are determined, the key is you have to be determined and unmovable in your belief about that goal, that you're going to reach it. Nothing can stop you. I don't care what it is. I don't care what it is.
Yeah, it's like that thing, because once you start going after it and you realize how stuff falls into play when you're doing it, you just realize, like, man, if I do this for everything, you're gonna have received the same outcome. You know what I mean? Like if you know that if you work hard, this is going to happen, you're gonna do it. You know, but like I say, like you say, it only comes if you want it, and you know that's the reason why I have podcasts like this, is to show people like, yes, things will be hard, but you have to make up your mind. The situation ain't gonna change unless you decide to make that change. And like you said, be determined to do it. Because once you get in that road, you keep running. The only way you can go is forward. When you run, you just run forward. Like it don't matter. As long as you keep your eyes straight, you keep your eyes on the goal, you're gonna keep it. You may slow up, you may hit a bump here and there, but you're gonna always go forward. I got a comment here. Like maybe you guys would like to comment on this. Will Eastwood said, it'd be so hard for folks that have criminal backgrounds that sometimes it makes you want to give up. However, I just keep holding on. You guys have any comments on that?
Keep holding on, my brother, because that thing will open up. I'm telling you, 100%. And you know what I mean? I didn't get to say what I wanted to say to you earlier, but 100%. If you got that thing in your heart, ain't nothing can stop it. It's going to break. The key is to continue to believe.
Go ahead, O.
So,
I'm gonna say this. Look at it like this. People or this world wants you to think that if you got the degree, if you got the experience, if you got all of that, you don't have nothing to worry about. You're pretty much a shoo-in, right? Well, our shoo-in, our degree, our experience starts and ends with the Holy Spirit and God. So therefore, the more we put into Him, the more we put into the Holy Spirit, the more that we put into that relationship with Him, the more that we will be able to come out. The world will want you to think that, yeah, the times is hard all around. Add on to the fact that you have a criminal background. God don't see any of that. All God sees is I'm the way maker. I am the truth and the life. Everything comes through me first. So therefore, we're going to go directly to the source. We're going to put our time and effort into God because He will put it into us.
Yeah, and I wanted to add to that as well. And Mike said this, and this is something I believe. Mike said that he in his story talking about him taking the gas class. Many people, the world will tell you that if you don't have the money, you can't go to the class. Pretty much, that's what what happened to you, Mike. But you was like, you know what? I have the start of it. I don't know how the rest of it's going to happen, but I'm gonna go. But the world will tell you you shouldn't do that. But we, like Olin said, I'll put our faith in God. So I always tell people, I've been told, Will Eastwood, that even though you're waiting for something, that doesn't mean that you stop there. It's like, okay, I want to learn how to draw or something like that. I may not have the classes, but I can begin teaching myself that field. And many people don't do things like that. Like, okay, while I'm waiting, what else can I do that once I get to the point where I can take 5 steps forward, the information that I now have will allow me to take 10 steps forward. Because now I don't have to wait for the other information to do it. It goes falling right in line with what you said, Mike. You take the step and you wait for these, things to happen. Don't sit to wait for the thing to happen to you. You want to play basketball. You don't learn how to play basketball by first joining up with the team. You learn how to play basketball first before you join the team. That's what gets you on the team. That's what makes you qualified. For me right now, there's a lot of things that I don't know about writing. There's a lot of things I want to do within the writing field. I don't necessarily have the finances, but I'm preparing myself now so whenever the finances come, I can easily step in. I have the knowledge, I have the material now, and all I got to do is just step in when the money comes. But many people don't see it that way, So Will Eastwood, with you, even though you may not be in that particular field that you may have want, continue to prepare yourself as if you're in that field already. You're constantly reading about it. You're constantly learning about it. And if you don't get the job, look at another class and take another class that will help you benefit what you know already. So if you're taking HVAC, you learn, like, you know what? Since I don't got a job right now, let me go take welding. Let me go take this to add to my repertoire. I'm not sitting still. Like I said, I know once again, it may not be as easy the way, but this thing that we call life is not easy. You got to keep trying to move forward and advance yourself. So you may not necessarily be in that particular spot that you want to be in right now, but prepare your life now as if you're already there. Me, I prepare myself as a screenplay writer now, even though I don't have no movies made. I'm not balling around. I'm not walking the red carpet. I'm preparing all that stuff now. I'm preparing my mentality now. So when I get there, I don't say, oh, I need to take these classes or I need to learn how to write a screenplay. I'm already there. I'm prepared. And I didn't just, take a class and wait. I continue to build upon that knowledge. So when I'm ready, the doors will open up just like Mike. You took that step. You didn't have the money, but you continue to prepare yourselves for that class by going every week, even though you didn't have the money. So I think that would be a good step for you is walk in such a way that you're already there, even though you're not there. Continue to, build upon your repertoire of knowledge. Take what you do know and use that. If someone's not hiring you, you start looking. I told you this before. How can I do this myself? Well, who do I know that I can hook up with to reach certain goals? Mike, you got something to say, Olin?
I mean, that's pretty much what I was going to say too. Is like prepare yourself, keep preparing yourself, and adding more value to yourself. And you brought out a good point. Maybe you can go back to school and do another class, or maybe you can just get whatever you need to get, as far as like job wise, but always have your mind on the bigger picture of this is just a stepping stone to when I get where I want to be. And usually it's more easier when you have any job to transition to another job because they see that you're working. And then you have your schooling that's adding value to you. Keep adding, like Damon saying, keep adding value to yourself in the hard times, because that's the preparation for when the time comes, you'll just transition right into it. And that's the key that I've learned as well. Like what you said to you is preparation, preparing, keep preparing, keep preparing. Like I said, before I got to the classes, I was preparing. I was reading my code books. I was studying my code books. I was highlighting. I found resources on the internet, you know what I mean? Different questions about the code and stuff like that. And it was preparing my mind for what I was about to go through. You understand what I'm saying? Like, all right, once I built that confidence up, let me go take the test. I may fail. I know I'm going to fail it the first time because most people do. But it's to get an idea of what kind of questions. These are the same questions that I'm studying that they're going to ask me on the test. Come find out it wasn't. But it still added more knowledge to me about plumbing that I didn't know. So it wasn't that the question was irrelevant. It's just that they was preparing me to have a better understanding in my field. So whatever you do, you just keep preparing yourself and you take little baby steps. Like you may, and like I said, you may have to work a fast food job. You know what I mean? You may have to sometimes. That's just like life. Like I got to do what I got to do now to get where I'm trying to go. And then you stick it out and you find better after that. You know what I'm saying? So that's the key, like you said, is the preparation and the continue to add value to yourself. You can't continue to stay down and upset about your position and your situation and your circumstances. So I like what you said, Dan. You got to continue to prepare, even though it's hard right now.
Yeah. He said, I get all that, but my point is that you can study and prepare yourself all day and all year long, but what do you do when nobody give you a chance? You have the knowledge, but every successful person that somebody helped them with and believe in them. Not all the time. All right. This what I said, and I think I told you this too, that sometimes you have to wait for somebody. You have to get out the mindset that you have to wait for somebody to do something for you. Like me, I needed money immediately for some things, so I got me a little lawnmower, and I cut people's grass. Now from that, starting to cutting grass gave me the money to then buy material to cut wood. And from that, I started doing jobs for people, making countertops and making, sorry, I got to let Olin back in, making bookshelves for people. I made a bookshelf. I made an end table. But the point is, I'm not dependent on somebody to hire me to give me a job. I needed money for myself. And I was like, what can I do? And I think I tell you it all the time. What can you do? We got to stop looking at for people to help you with your dreams. You know, I wrote that in one of my books. Your dream is yours. No one is going to care about what you want to do. It's what you have to care about your own dream enough. Like how I need to step out the typical, let me go get a 9-to-5 to help me with what I want to do. We all living, we all alive. There's something that you can do yourself that can put you in a better situation. You don't need a black man. You don't need a white man. You don't need a Chinese man. You have your own hands. You have your own knowledge. And that's what Mike is saying here is that get a book. Learn how you can do something on your own. Like Mike said, he went and got another job. Somebody was paying him. But he took upon himself to do it. What else can I do to get where I'm at? So you sitting here, think about if somebody had 5 years and they waiting on somebody. That's 5 years that you could be planning to do something on your own to establish your own thing. Many people don't realize that you do not need a 9 to 5 to reach your dreams. 9 to 5 didn't teach me how to write. Like that's my success. Is you guys may know writing. I love it. Me and Mike, we're right now we're talking about making another little short clip, making film together. We don't know nothing about it. We don't even have necessary steps. But guess what? We're gonna do it. We're not gonna wait for Hollywood or big industry to tell me what to do. There's plenty of industries out there, filmmakers who are now just making movies and putting them on YouTube and making money that way. Not depending on Hollywood, because Hollywood said you need this, you got to do it this way. It's their dreams. Hollywood makes your dreams their dreams. If your dream don't line up with them, they don't accept you. So they're pretty much saying that what you believe in doesn't really matter. You have to believe in what they believe in. At that point, it's no longer your dream. It's no longer your success. So we have to train ourselves. Mike said, get out our brain that we need somebody else to be successful. There's plenty of ways that you can get money to make yourself, and then the little bit of money to make that you can put that aside for 5-10 years, how long ever it takes to finally say, you know what, I got 10 grand now. I'm gonna go start my own thing. It may take years. I started writing in 2007. Now I'm just starting to feel like I'm getting the grasp of it now. And I started in 2007. And this is me writing all the time. I'm starting to write things that people are starting to see. I'm like, oh man, that was good. That was decent. But it took all this time. It didn't happen one day. And I realized I was like, I'm not depending on someone else to prove my stuff for me to get it out there. I can't do that. Because otherwise, in order for me to get my information out there, I need to pay somebody else $5,000. I need to pay somebody else $10,000. Why do that? There's plenty of things out there that are free. Let me go these avenues. Let me learn more about that. So that's just my opinion about that. That I will always tell people, do it yourself. Don't wait for somebody to give you so you can get the yes. Or, I can't do this unless you accept my idea.
I got another thing, and another thing. Will, this is the information age. Maybe you can Google companies that allow that hire people with criminal background instead of just applying for a job. Do some research and say, hey, let me type in if I can find out if anybody out there got any information on that, because people put reviews up on Yahoo and Yelp and stuff like that of different companies. They might hire people with criminal backgrounds that be easier for you to get into. So there's always an avenue to figure something out. So try that and see what you can come up with. You just got to keep on researching and sticking with it. That's another key, is to keep researching and sticking with it and until you find what you're looking for. But don't just stay down. Like I said, don't just stay down and say, oh man, these people not giving me a chance, like Damien's saying. There's other things you can do outside of that. You got, Uber, Lyft, Uber Eats, delivery jobs, like whatever you got to do, you have to do in the meantime until you get where you're going. That's the principal key that we're talking about. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I started this journey of plumbing. This was 8 years for me to get where I am now. So like Damien said, it doesn't just haphazardly happen. It doesn't just come. You build over time and you begin to grasp new ideas over time. Like my first year of plumbing, I didn't know as much as I know in my 8 years of plumbing. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to be all at once. It's going to be piece by piece and line upon line. So you take what you get and you make sure you get that foundation and you build upon it. So maybe, oh man, let me go ahead. I'm going to keep plugging in for the HVAC job, but maybe I need to go, deliver some food, do some DoorDash and do XYZ until I can get my foot in the door.
Sell waters, whatever it takes. And a lot of times, like I say, we get comfortable, like how we can make the money that we need. Sometimes, like you said, Mike, you said earlier, you got to put yourself in an uncomfortable spot. Me, I tell people all the time, I cut people grass and to make money. I hate cutting grass, but guess what that money do for me? I hate getting out there sweating, hauling this stuff, going to gas station, getting this material, making sure my machinery working. I don't like that. I hate cutting my own grass. But if I cut grass and that grass can put me in, give me the finances where I can take an online weekend class to learn about lay out how to lay out lay out a screenplay or something like that. I did that, but I'm in a place where I'm uncomfortable. But it's a means to an end. I'm doing this
exactly
to reach something else. So it's like, man, I really want money. You know what? I hate selling water bottles, but you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go out there in that corner every day and I'm gonna sell water bottles out in that heat. Yeah, it may not be the thing that you do, the thing that you want, but it's a means to something else. Like your vision of success is not the water bottles, is what you're gonna do with the resources from that water bottles.
And that's another good point that you bring up, because the bigger picture. A lot of times, what I'm starting to develop and learn how to do now is start from the end. Meaning, I see the end result of where I want to be at. So that's the big picture. But where I'm starting from to get there is the journey. But the bigger picture is that I already know what the end game is. I already know where I'm going to be at in the next 5 years because I already got it mapped out. Now the journey is just beginning. So anything that I go through from here on to that journey, now I'm deciding to enjoy it, whether it's adversity, whether it's a failure at something, whether it's whatever it could be, whatever oppositional obstacle it is in my life on my path to get to where I'm going in the next 5 years. It's not going to affect me as much because I know where the end game is. So now I'm just going to enjoy the ride. So if I have to go back to Domino's, I'll go. You know what I mean? If I have to go get a job at a Dollar Tree, I'll go. If I have to go do whatever I have to do, because now I have a bigger understanding of what it is that I desire out of life, what it is that I want, knowing that I'm going to get there. So now it's just, I'm on a journey. And now let me make this journey fun, even in the good times and the bad times. But you have to have an end game. If your end game, Will, is to be HVAC, don't let that dream die. You just find another avenue to get to it. And I know it seems impossible sometimes with your background, but it's not. You just got to keep digging. Somebody's going to say yes if you keep knocking on that door. If you filled out 5 applications this week, start filling out 25. Do double what you did this week. Somebody somewhere going to need some help. And they're going to say yes.
Yeah. I get you. I definitely get what you're saying, Will. And like I said, I'm not somebody with a criminal background. And I know we're not just saying it's as simple as reading something. We're just trying to give an example of just always preparing yourself, to do more, just not staying there. There's a lot of guys who come out of jail with the same situation. Nobody hires them. But those same people, what do they say? Like, what? I don't want to go back to jail. I don't want to do nothing legal. What else can I do? Do they push in and day out? Like when they get up, the first thing they're going to do is like, how can I still reach my goal? Even though these individuals won't hire me, hire me or do whatever I want. How else can I reach my goal? Like that should be that thing every day they get up. And how hard do they push? Yes, I can imagine like there was times, I didn't go as long as years, but I went I think the longest I went was like 3 months or something, not having a job. But I didn't sit around was like, because nobody was hiring me. Nobody hired me. And I moved to Arlington, Virginia. And nobody would hire me. But for 3 months, nobody would hire me. I couldn't make no money. So I was like, okay, how can I still get the resources? How can I still live based on just what I want to do? So I started doing maintenance things for people, sanding tables and fixing chairs, stuff that I learned while we was in college, man.
Yeah.
In the summer, if your chair's falling apart, I can put your chair back together. And I started doing stuff like that. Once again, I didn't like doing it. But how many people get stuck? Like you said, coming out, no one's hiring them. That's what they said. No one is hiring me. I know I get frustrated. I got frustrated within those 3 months. But I kept thinking, like, what can I do myself? What can I do myself to make it? And that's all we're saying. We're not just saying just reading a book is going to solve your problem. The process is evolving yourself in your profession, evolving yourself where you can still get the things that you need on your own, and like I say, not be illegal or anything like that. How many people do that? How many people continue to push doing the things that they don't want to do? People, the same people who may not get a job because of that criminal background, when they come out, how many may walk around the neighborhood and be like, let me cut your grass? Like these are simple things. I'm just thinking off the top of my head, but they do that day in and day out. But the whole goal is to save enough money to get a van where they can, wash cars, have their own power washing company or something like that. But they're cutting grass just to get there. And it may take them 5-10 years. But now their mind, as Mike said, I get up every day and this is what I'm going to do because I know my end game. And that's all we're saying. And I know it's frustrating. I got frustrated in 3 months when I couldn't get a job, but I couldn't sit around and mope because I still had to eat. Nobody was buying my food. Everything I needed still need to be provided for, but nobody was hiring me. And this is with 2 degrees. I'm at, 2 masters, a bachelor's, and a minor. I'm like, nobody will hire me, even in the lowest jobs. I'm telling you, I was applying for teachers' assistants, teachers, cleaning people. I was hiring everybody, anything. And this was during the recession, so nobody would hire me. But I needed food. And I was like, let me start asking people who are around me, what can I do for them, what they need help with. And that's what I did until finally somebody hired me 3 months later. So it's that we got to think outside the box to reach your goal. But while you're waiting, you're always working on your goal. Like whatever the thing is, you're still working towards that. Like I said, whether it's information, Tanisha said, networking. You just build a network. You're networking, trying to get with people. Are you when there's fairs, if there are jobs fairs happening in the city, which happens all the time? How many people who have the criminal backgrounds are going to the job fairs? Everybody at the job fair. I doubt many of them. Are getting up Saturday morning, going down to the convention center to be at the next job fair or the next job fair that's out Security Mall or somewhere. That's the type of stuff that you do until that door opens. Once again, it can be a day, it can be a week, 5 years, 10 years. But the thing is, you got to get up every single day to do it. You know a lot about Eastwood, about Jay-Z and all stuff he had to do until he finally had that breakthrough. For his rapper, most rappers will tell you that what you see now, that's the tip of the iceberg. They already spent 10 years grinding.
Right. A lot of rappers was already been in the game before they got put on. Yep.
10 years grinding with nothing to really speak for of it. Struggling. Living in their cars, sleeping out their cars, living at their grandmother's house. But in their entire mind, they are working towards their success, which is one day I'm gonna be a known artist. And that's all we're saying. It don't matter if you have a criminal background. It don't matter if you have degrees or not. We all in the same boat that you just got to work hard. You got to do what it takes to get it, but you just can't stay there and try to walk this one aisle, this one lane. There's different avenues that you can take to get to the same destination. And you got to do more. If this ain't working, like Mike said, do more.
Yeah.
Do more of that. They add something else to that.
Hey, you never seen the hot dogs and the buns in the same aisle. you gotta go to the other aisle to get them.
I like that one. You gotta go to the other aisle and get it. And I think that's what many people get caught up. We're not saying that it's some magical trick that can happen. Mike said it. You can't give up. People look at me and they may see success, but I'm like, even the little stuff that I have, years in the making. Being under people, learning from people. Like I said, a lot of stuff I know now comes from when I was working in college, being under somebody to teach me how to do maintenance, simple maintenance. Yeah. And I ate it up. And now I'm using it. Now that I was like, you know what? This makes money. I YouTube stuff. I read stuff. And I do this even though I don't necessarily like doing it. The point is that this is going to help me with something else.
And that's another thing. I had to put my mindset back into learning again. Like instead of being like, oh man, I'm not going to read no books. No, you learn. So the thing about it is you can't say, oh, I want to be a millionaire and never read a book on how to be a millionaire. That's just, you don't know nothing about money. You're not just going to wake up and be a millionaire. What did this millionaire do to become a millionaire?
Yep.
What are the strategies? What are the tactics? What did I got to do? Because you can sit here and say, I'll start a business and become a millionaire. But how do businesses become worth millions? You're not just going to start a business. Most businesses fail within the first 3 years.
Yep.
When you start them. Most people who start business fail 2 or 3 times before they get it right the 4th time. Some people go out of business, stay out of business. It's not worth my time. It's not worth the effort. It's not worth the energy. I failed already. But the ones that get back up and take the risk again, they end up in the 1 percentile, the 5 percentile. And the 98 percentile is going to them for the resources that they have. So it's all about your mindset as well. If your mindset is, it ain't working and I keep trying, eventually you're going to give up. But if your mindset is, I'm going to get it, regardless of what is against me, then something's going to break. It's impossible for it not to, but you cannot. And I understand. Trust me, I was frustrated. There's been many times in my life I've been frustrated. Damon can tell you, I wonder, man, what? So many times. And I ain't got no criminal background. I was frustrated. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and like you said, back to what you said, I was home for about two years with my son. Like, that was frustrating. Like, we all had our moments and our times in our life. And a lot of people ain't. Well, you can witness back when I was at my mother's house drinking every day, frustrated. Like, come on now. Like, it happens. But I thank God that I didn't give up on myself. I thank God that I got back up after every failure and
God
kept trying. And that other people also didn't give up on me, like my man Damien, like other people that's in my life, like who kept saying, Mike, come on, man, you can do it, you can do it. But then once I started believing in myself, that's when the magic happens. When the magic happens is when you believe in yourself. And there's a door that can be open, Will. I don't care what it is that you got against you. There is a door that can be open and will be open. And that's just the nature of life, is forget the how. Just keep applying and keep going with that process. And like I said, like Damon said, in the meantime, you figure out other avenues which you can do to bring in revenue until you get there.
Yeah, like, like say you want to get to HVAC, look at a simple way to, HVAC where you don't necessarily need to be a licensed person to do something. You know what I mean? Like this just speaking off the top of my head, I'm not even sure. It's like, okay, I want to do what is something that related to HVAC that I can do. What do I need to clean air ducts? Air ducts in people's houses. Something as simple as that. Like that's still HVAC. You probably don't need a license to get dust out somebody's thing, but that's what sometimes you got to do that. Like, how can I still do this on my own? And like I said, that's what me and Mike are talking about. Oh, that leaves everybody. Are you still there? I think I lost Mike. Well, I'm gonna keep going. Hopefully I'm not lost. The idea is that I'm gonna continue pushing forward to this, regardless of what other people are saying. I know that's not what you're saying, but you gotta find a way to get yourself in there. And like I said, cleaning HVAC, is that a way? Cleaning air ducts, I don't know if you need to be licensed to do that. It's like, okay, what equipment I need? Then you work on getting a small equipment, and then you just may start off at somebody's house. You're like, hey, y'all, you need your air duct cleaned. When's the last time? You ask them, when's the last time you do it? And they be like, oh, blah, blah, blah. Or you be like, hey, I'll clean your air ducts for $30. And then you go on to the next person, I'll clean your air ducts for $30, $40. Cleaning air ducts is not necessarily your goal, but that's a means to make the necessary money that you may need, but also continue to drive you in the direction that you want to go, regarding your success. Most people who say something is not working, did they give up? How much stuff they're actually pushing into? How much stuff they're actually looking into? You know, calling their councilmen, you know, writing letters to the senators. You know what I mean? Just ask questions. Be like, hey, I've been out, you know, jail for a while. These are the things that I'm looking for. I'm trying to get, but I can't because of my background. Is there any governmental programs I can look into? You mean, look into that. You know, you go to libraries, ask them. I mean, it's a hard walk and it's a lot to do. But if you really want something, you know, that's what it may take. That's really what it may take. I know, and I like to say, I know it may seem easy for us to just say it, but at the same time, I got my bathroom door open. But at the same time, you know, we all have our challenges as well. We all have moments where we want to stop because simple things as finances and, you know, having money, but we can't give up. That's what success is. Continue to push forward, even though everything around you is telling you no. You can't do it. That's what success is. Fulfilling something against the obstacles. Reaching your goals against the obstacles. Okay, they tell me no, but I don't believe that. I don't need them. How else can I do this? You know, we'll fight with the inner man that we have inside of us that says quit. Fight against the frustration. But the thing is about trying to be successful is you have to love what you're going after. That you're willing to do it every single day without pay, without money. You have to be happy. You want that it brings you joy. That's what success is. So we got to do this thing every day, every time we wake up, reaching for this because it makes us happy. You know, like I'm willing to I'm willing to cut grass. I'm willing to you know, do maintenance for people. I'm willing to haul trash for people because what that's going towards, what that what that leads me to is something that makes me happy. Writing makes me so happy that I overlook all the stuff that I got to do it. You know, and that's what we're gonna have to do. So let me see if I can bring Mike back real fast, and then we may end it. Let me see if he has some final words. I apologize. I'm not sure what happened to him, but if I can get him back on this session. So I apologize about that. I'm not sure why he didn't just, let me see. If you have any further questions, please ask. Or if you have any comments, please ask. Let me see if I can get Mike in here. He was a good guest. Let me see if he has any final comments before we go. Like, we greatly appreciate you guys. We thank you for coming here. We thank you for those who dropped in. Let me see. Tiffany, my lovely wife, thank you for joining in. Ellie, J. Oh, that's Erica. Thank you for joining in. Kid, thank you for stopping by. Of course, Will Eastwood, it's always a pleasure to have you on, my brother. You know, you always help take this conversation a little deeper. Casanova, thank you for joining us briefly. Tanisha, thank you for commenting. You know, you guys, great. You're the reason why we continue to do this. You know, we just try to get information out there that we think will benefit everyone. So I'm gonna give a few more seconds to see if Mike joins back. If not, we will end this podcast. We went for an hour and a half. That's great. Any more final questions, comments from the remaining viewers? that you may have. I hope this bless you. Hope it benefits you. Hope it lift your spirit. Our goal is not to tear anybody down or to say your situation is not, a tough one. We're not saying that. There are plenty people in the world who have tough situations. All we're saying is that to continue to push forth, continue to push forward towards your dreams, your goals, success. And sometimes, well, majority of the time, it takes thinking outside the box to do that. And that's what we're trying to encourage, to think outside your box on how you can still maintain yourself, reach your goal, maintain your family, and not give up. Because when you're doing something successful, what you're reaching for, what you're driving towards, still makes you happy. And that's what should keep you going. That happiness that brings, the joy that it brings, the feeling that it brings. Mike talked about how he started going to the gym to help change his mindset. And then while he was in the gym, he was listening to motivational speakers. For one, listening to something positive makes you feel better. But on top of that, like you said, going to the gym releases endorphins in your body. So if you're happy about what you're doing, your body is going to here's Mike, he's back. Your body is going to
trying to get back in, man. It said I was backstage, man. I don't know what happened. Sorry about that, man.
Yeah, I was actually closing up. I was giving some final words. I'll let you get some final words too. But I was telling the audience like how we're not trying to say people's situation is not hard, it's not tough. Our thing is just to say when you're driving towards something successful, what you're doing or what you're trying to accomplish, first of all, should make you happy. And by making you happy, that should make you want to get up every day to work even harder towards that. Even though the river is pushing against you, you're striving for that happiness. And no frustration, as Mike said, no frustration, no one telling you no doesn't cut it. It makes you happy, so that's what you're going to strive for. And that's what we're trying to show here. Don't give up. 5 years, 10 years. I mean, there's stories out there. People waited 20 years to finally reach their dream, their goal. And then they'll say that 20 years was worth it because it allowed me to be here. It made me worthy of being here. And that's what we want to say to you. So I'm going to end with that. Mike, any final words?
No, you just said it all, brother. Just continue to believe in yourself and reach for the stars, man.
Hey, Shirley, I see you came. You dropped by. Thank you for coming in on this brief. I know it's brief. You come at the end, so we're glad. I'm glad to see that you have joined. Hope that you are doing well. So, any final comments from anybody that may still be watching?
I'll tell you what. For the late joining show, sister, go back and watch the whole from the beginning. Go watch the full podcast, man. Go back and get some of this these nuggets we giving out over here.
Your brother dropped some nuggets. Mike dropped some nuggets today. Even Tiffany was like, "Man, that's good, Mike. That's good." So you said some good stuff today. So hopefully it's not the last time that you'll be coming on.
Definitely not
with us.
I finally got a taste of the podcast bug that's been going around.
It's good, man. It's encouraging. It's encouraging, like
definitely.
So
and for anybody, think about where most of y'all know me and Damien our whole lives. Look what we doing. Look where we come from as kids and running around the neighborhood and the alleys playing. Nobody thought we'd be dishing out this type of information. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's possible. It's possible.
Yeah. I tell people look at me and think that I may have it. People don't realize that, yes, I'm grateful that my wife has a good job that supports the family. But the things that I do outside the family, my wife, that money doesn't come from my wife.
Mm-hmm.
That comes from the things that I do.
Right.
I have a van that I use to do my jobs. That comes from money that I do, and I don't have a natural job.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get up 9 to 5. But I got my van. I pay my insurance on that van. But the point is, I grind. I do all the necessary things. The things that I necessarily wouldn't want to do, I do to make my ends meet.
Exactly.
And that's what it takes. I do not have a job. I do not check in. I don't check out. But things work because I tell myself I'm not going to be that person who doesn't have without. I'm not until I'm dead. I'm not going to stop. And that's as you said, Mike. That's the mentality that we got to have. And once you realize that by you just working hard, how stuff happens and comes into play, you meet people. You realize, like, if I can do it with this, if I can do it with this, I can do it with this. If I can do it with this, I can do it with this.
It take you from one level of success to the next level of success. So I guarantee you, next time we have this conversation on this podcast, it's going to be a whole totally different set of topics that we're going to be talking about. Because when you reach a new level, like I said earlier, you gain new skills, you gain more wisdom, you gain more knowledge that then you want to add to what you learned on the journey from where you was before. So it's definitely more to come. Definitely more to come. Definitely more nuggets to drop. Definitely more knowledge to be gained.
Yep, it definitely don't. Like you said it to Olin, when you make it to one thing, it evolves to something else. You make it there, it evolves into something else. You know.
Then because then you begin to want to stretch. Naturally, you want to stretch yourself to see how much more you can accomplish. You know what I'm saying? How much more abilities can I tap into that I didn't know existed in me? You know what I mean? And the thing about it is, the mind is the most undiscovered thing in creation. Is there's all kinds of jewels and gems inside the mind, but we have to be willing to pull it out. And you have to, because the mind is creative as is. Like, you have the ability to create with your mind. Like, look around. Cars came from somebody's mind. Like, these machines that build and construction, they came from somebody's mind. I was in a printing press shop, and I'm like, this intricate printing press machine that they have all these integral parts, that came from somebody's mind. You understand what I'm saying? Like,
they envisioned it.
It's possible. So you have to be willing to sit down and become creative. It's naturally in you, but I guarantee you, if you take one little thing that you want to do, you write it down. It could be as simple as, I want to save $20 or $40 out of my paycheck. You write that thing down, you read over it every day, and naturally you'll begin to gravitate towards it, and you'll find yourself putting that money away. And how much would you have in a year if you was just do that? How much? And challenge yourself to go back. Challenge yourself to go back also and check off your goals and see where you are. Don't just write them down and forget them. No, you read over them. You put a timeline on them. You force yourself to be accountable for those things that you're trying to accomplish. And then you check off the things that you accomplished on the list. And then you're going to add more because, like I said, you're going to naturally want to continue to achieve. Once you get out of the what was me mentality and I'm the defeated mentality into the mentality of I can and I am and I will, is unstoppable. It's nothing that can stop. I don't care what happens. There's nothing that can stop you. You got a guy right now with just his arms and his torso, no legs. He's doing all kinds of things right now. You know what I mean? Going around viral on YouTube, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Just by him being himself.
A free platform.
Platform. You know what I'm saying? So don't tell me with all your limbs that you can't do something.
That's all we're saying. There was Tiffany a long time ago. We wrote down a 5-year goals and then a 10-year goal. Do you know that we worked hard towards the 5-year goal, but we actually accomplished the 5 years in the 10 years, I think within 3 years.
Exactly. And that's the thing. The process will speed up once you start believing. That's the thing. You write it down for 5 years. The 5 years is just the layout. But you may reach it in 2 years. You may reach it in 3 years. You know what I'm saying? You check it off. You write another 5-year goal down. You may learn now. You're like, okay, I've reached this in 3 years. Now I know it's a 5 year, but I might can do it faster than I did the first time because then you naturally begin to challenge yourself. You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing about this process and this path. Once you taste it, you will not want to go back.
Yeah, another thing I would challenge anybody who's watching is, look up there. People are giving free classes on subjects and things. Like right now, I have a free Zoom class that I'm attending this Thursday, and this individuals and they are in the film industry, the movie industry, and there are going to be 900 people in this master class. But I signed up for it. I could easily say, man, I'm not going to get anything from that. And I said that too. I was like, you know what? I'm not. But I was like, you know what? Let me go anyway, because I may go the entire meeting without anything, and then the last minute could be something that's going to change my life. And there are a lot of free people giving a lot of free classes out there.
And that's the thing. Why not? Why not go anyway if it's free? That's the thing. That people don't take advantage of things that's free and think that these things that people are giving for free aren't of any value because there's no price on it. So we don't value things that don't have a price on it.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And that's another thing. Like, as creative as the mind is, we don't take care of it. We don't cherish it. We don't nourish it. We don't feed it. We don't do this. We don't do that. That's what the old saying go, a mind is a terrible thing to waste. You know what I'm saying? But if you add value to yourself, you pick up the books, you go to the classes, your mind will naturally begin to absorb things. But we don't take advantage of things that's right there before our feet. We rather go try to spend a bunch of money to pay for it because now we feel like, oh, it's more value because we paid for it. No, a lot of free stuff is actually where you get the best information from.
Yeah. All right, guys, I'm going to let you go. We appreciate you. If you have any final comments or questions, put them in the thread below, and we'll get back to answer those questions, throughout the week. And if it's something that deserves a topic, a conversation on its own, we can do that on the podcast. We appreciate you. Please like, please subscribe, please share with anyone. Like I said, it's not for numbers games that we just want to put this information out there. We want to encourage the body. We also want to encourage those outside the body. So we love you. We thank you. Thank you, my man Mike, for being on.
Thank you for having me, my
guy. We love you.
Deuces.
Hold on, Mike.